Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Tennis Weekly with Joel, Kim, and Chris. On today's Tour Catch Up,
Alcaraz captures his first Monte Carlo Masters.
the BJK Cup Finals lineup is set for Shenzhen.
And Roger Federer teases a return to the tennis court.
Kim, Chris, today is the 14th of April, and we are here to catch up on the week in tennis at Tennis Weekly HQ, brought to you by Sports Travel and Hospitality Group. Carlos Alcaraz won a maiden Masters title out in Monte Carlo to rise back up to number 2 in the rankings for the first time in 6 months. There are also rumours afoot of a Stefanos Tsitsipas Goran Ivanisevic coaching partnership in the works. Elsewhere, Great Britain claimed their place in the Billie Jean King Cup finals, along with the USA and Spain, who also progressed. And Emma Raducanu is having ongoing talks with Mark Petchey becoming her coach, whilst Roger Federer is on interview this week stating he is interested in a return to the tennis court. Wow, big news there. And also big news at Tennis Weekly HQ, because returning back to the podcast this week, Chris, you have returned from the land of Rafa, Mallorca. How was it?
I had the land of Rafa. I was going to say the land of Kim as well. It was a fantastic time, and I was playing at the Tennis Academy Mallorca, so it wasn't the Rafa Nadal Academy. We did touch upon that. I'm sure many Rafa fans will not forgive me. It's slightly maybe out of our price point potentially. It's pretty bougie over there, Kim. So is it allowed that I went somewhere else?
I'll forgive you. It's fine. I'm just glad you had a nice time, that it didn't disappoint. I think you've learned a few more tennis tips as well. Is it fair to say?
Yes, I've been humbled, I would say, when it came to my tennis ability by Coach Ivano. But I mean, I was not humbled when it came
outing him on the podcast, Chris.
I mean, I'm not sure he's going to listen. I think he probably wouldn't take tennis.
Is this your way of
from
getting
me.
your own back?
Yeah, it is actually. But
He put you through your paces.
He did. He put us through our paces, and I now am bringing a different level of understanding to the difficulties and complexities of tennis, because I thought I was okay, and now I'm not sure I am. But having said that, Kim, I was going to say a thank you to you as well. You gave me some wonderful recommendations because you used to be based over there. I enjoyed a particular, what was it, 5 for 25 tapas deal. So Kim, you had the inside tips there. And I also thought I saw a tennis face when I was there.
Oh, who was that? Not Rafa himself.
I was going to say you weren't near the Rafa
On the other side of
Academy.
the island. Who was there?
I thought I saw Jennifer Brady, but I think maybe she was in Charleston. I can't be sure. But either way,
Did you pass her on the street? Because I remember when we went away for the pod to Prague, and we genuinely walked past listeners. We walked past Timea Bashinsky, but we were so starstruck.
we did.
We were so starstruck that it took us 20 seconds to realize, and by that moment, the chance had gone.
Or we could say we were being respectful, Kim, not harassing
Yes,
such a big
exactly.
celebrity.
I mean, there
on the
were
streets
so
of
many
Prague.
fans around Timea Bashinsky.
There were
in that
people with
moment.
signs and, waving flags.
Come back to the tour, Timea.
Yeah.
We miss you. Yeah, I know. Well, I'm glad you had a lovely time, Chris. And I also hear on the grapevine that, Joel, you were in a nice pub on the weekend.
Yeah,
maybe in
too
the
nice
sun,
for
in
my
the pub
liking.
garden, enjoying a Hugo. Is that right? Which is, listeners should know, my favourite beverage of choice.
Yes. I was enjoying the weekend, and out in Dulwich in London, very, very nice part of the city. And a Hugo Spritz was all good. I actually almost fainted at the cost
Had
of
the
it.
taste of it.
Yes. I feel like there's a big competition at the moment between Hugo Spritz. It's encroaching on the Aperol Spritz territory.
I'm glad.
It's
Aperol has
healthier.
dominated for far too long.
It has. We're just taking all of your tips, Kim. I'm taking your
Thank
tips
you.
in Mallorca, and Joel's stolen your drink of choice from you. So
Oh, no.
it's not really an
What is
exchange.
going on? Well, I have to say, my highlight of the past week, it's kind of Mallorca related. And obviously, it was a highlight of mine that you were there, Chris, experiencing some lovely gelato and tennis and sun. But hot news out of Mallorca. Rafa is due to become a father for the second time, it would appear. It's been reported that his wife, Mary Perello, is expecting their second child. So another baby Rafa is on its way, which is, great news for all the Rafa fans out there. And who knows, in many years to come, we may well see one of the children gracing a tennis court. That will reveal itself in time.
That's exciting. I thought you said Mary Carrillo then, and I was like, wait, what?
No.
I was like, have I missed something?
Definitely not a relationship happening there. But we've also had some news about Roger Federer, isn't that right? In the last week, he's been spotted giving an interview, suggesting he may be back.
Well, Joel rather mentioned this already, but I had this down as my highlight of the week, something that I saw, because he says he's going to fill stadiums again, which makes me think, are we going to get Rafa and Roger for one last time? He said there's nothing.
We've got to get it.
We've got to. And surely if they paid that amount of money for the likes of Alcaraz and Nadal at the Netflix Slam, you would find the money for Roger Federer and Nadal, especially at this stage of their career. I think that would be a big ticket.
My question would be, if we can make it happen, I would love to have a sequel to the Battle of the Surfaces, which was such an iconic exhibition between the two. For listeners who aren't aware, it was so random. Like it happened, almost amazing that it happened in the first place. But it was a half grass, half clay court that they had a battle over. And I would love if they could somehow do this again, because it was such visually, it just looks so interesting. Maybe throw in a hard court, maybe split it up into thirds and have all the court surfaces represented.
It's going to be tricky for the knees, isn't it? Surely at this stage of their careers, they're retired.
What shoes would they wear? You know, I mean, I don't know. That's
Nike and Adidas or Uniqlo, they can figure it out.
And Joel, what's caught your attention this week?
Well, I have seen in Hollywood that Billie Jean King has received a Hollywood Walk of Fame star. She is the first woman to be given the honor in the new sports entertainment category. I just thought it was. I mean, she's a pioneer. She's broken new ground, I feel like, for like the whole of her career, and she's still doing it. And just so cool, I think, to see a tennis player's name in Hollywood.
It's quite surprising, isn't it? It is cool. I would have thought maybe they'd have gone with someone, you know, like who had maybe dabbled in some acting. You know, when Serena Williams did a little bit of acting on the side, there was that period. But obviously, you can get it for different things now. So
2,807 stars, and Billie Jean King, first tennis player. So it's taken a long time.
We'll start campaigning for Rafa and Roger.
Oh, yes.
Well, there's a new sports entertainment category, which is why she's kind of now being included. So I wonder who else is going to be getting stars. I suppose a lot of, American footballers, I imagine, but hopefully some more from tennis.
Andy Roddick, he does some entertainment these days.
Well, yeah, with his podcast, if we're allowed to mention that. This episode is brought to you by Sports Travel and Hospitality Group,
the leading provider of travel, hospitality, and customer experiences at global sporting events, including this year's Roland-Garros.
By booking with Sports Travel and Hospitality Group, tennis fans around the world can witness the pinnacle of the clay court season unfold, all the while indulging in luxurious hospitality that only Roland-Garros can provide.
As an official agent of Roland-Garros, Sports Travel and Hospitality Group guarantees you unrivaled views from the best seats in the house on Philippe Chatrier, as well as world-class cuisine and beverages served on site.
With Sports Travel and Hospitality Group, you also have access to the matches of your choosing, with 3 package tiers available across the entire tournament.
Learn more and book your Roland-Garros hospitality package today at sportstravelhospitality.com/Roland-Garros. That's sportstravelhospitality.com/Roland-Garros.
So what are you waiting for? Secure your premium seat at Roland-Garros today for a once-in-a-lifetime Grand Slam tennis experience.
The link is in the description.
Let's have a look at what went down on the tour this past week, because we were experiencing the Monte Carlo Masters. That was all taking place down on the French Riviera. Lovely setting for it, and a lovely setting for Carlos Alcaraz to win his 6th Masters 1000 title and his first in quite a while. He beat Lorenzo Musetti in 3 sets in the final on Sunday. Bit of an odd scoreline, 3-6, 6-1, 6-love, racing away with it at the end of the match. Musetti definitely hampered by an injury, unfortunately, as the match wore on. But Alcaraz will be pleased to get this title, I think, despite those circumstances. He's not been in great form over the last couple of weeks, had a really early exit in Miami. This is going some way to kind of turning his fortunes around at the start of the clay season. Throughout the course of the week, he did have a couple of grittier wins and then some more straightforward ones. Perhaps didn't have to play the highest caliber of opponents, it's fair to say, for a Masters 1000. But overall, Joel, how impressed were you with Alcaraz's week in Monte Carlo?
Well, Kim, you said the Monte Carlo Masters. I mean, we should be calling it the Monte Carlos Masters, shouldn't we?
Oh, how long did it take you to think of that one, Joel?
No.
Can hear the eye rolling.
Let's move on. No, I think, he had a very good week. He would have liked to have done better, I think, out in America in the Sunshine Double. But certainly this is a surface that feels so natural to him. And, having the clay swing begin, it almost acts as that kind of natural reset. And although I think, here there were a few hiccups along the way, I still think he needs to start better, in some of his matches. I mean, going down a set against Cerundolo, Musetti in the final, and then the tennis I thought he played the best was against Fils. I actually thought that was one of the matches of the tournament. So I think he can definitely look at some moments where he can say he's getting back to his best. But I still wonder if there are some questions that remain that show I didn't necessarily feel like this is peak Carlos Alcaraz. It still shows that I think there's work to be done.
Yeah, he will be back up to number 2 in the world now. So he's edged Zverev in the rankings, which it feels a bit more maybe right.
Not hard to do, let's be honest. At this moment in time.
Yeah, Zverev having a bit of a shocker as well. So yeah, he's kind of reclaimed that ranking. Obviously, Sinner's still number 1. And like you said, he didn't have the greatest of weeks, but he did enough. He did what he needed to do. He's got the title. But Chris, I'm going to come to you. If we'd have seen a fighting fit, fully at the races Musetti, do you think this could have been a different story in that final?
I mean, I do think it could have been. I mean, he took the first set. He was playing some really confident tennis, and they've had some great matches previously. I mean, I remember there was the Hamburg final, which was particularly great. And actually, that was the result where Musetti did come out on top. So it's a good matchup. I think for him, we've seen Musetti in situations like this where something's happened. He's been derailed. I'm not saying it's not a genuine injury at all. He played a lot of tennis, but it is just a little bit of an unfortunate story that quite often some of the biggest matches of his career, something like this does happen, whether it's mental or physical. So, I mean, hopefully we will see him kind of rediscover that form that took him to the semi-final of Wimbledon, where he played some incredible tennis along the way. But I mean, it's just great that he made the final. It was a big deal for him, and some really emotional scenes throughout the week for him actually kind of getting back and announcing himself on the big stage after a period where he hadn't had the results and had been away with injury. So a good week for him. But again, I think Carlos was not as convincing as he could have been and was sort of handed the victory in the final.
A less convincing Carlos. I mean, he does have a great record in finals generally. He's 10-2 in kind of big tournament finals. So for the only 2 losses in those finals were to Novak Djokovic, who was nowhere to be seen, it's fair to say, at the latter stages of the Monte Carlo Masters. We'll get onto that in a second. But yeah, I think Musetti obviously definitely hampered, but he will be debuting as the world number 11 this week. So he's, got those ranking points out of it. He's going up in the rankings. And let's see if he can recover from this leg injury that he was hampered and afflicted with. He did, of course, beat Alex de Minaur in the semi-final, did Musetti. And Alex de Minaur, special mention to him, he did eke a 6-love win out over Grigor Dimitrov, which I think is the first time we've seen that on the men's tour in a while. Like we see it, we have seen it quite recently on the women's side, a couple of double bagels going on, but spare a thought for Grigor Dimitrov. That was a
sad,
ruthless day on court, wasn't it?
I know. I watched Dimitrov's previous match, where he was playing. Oh, sorry, not his previous. His second match. He was playing a Monaco wildcard, Vachero, and he actually apologized to him at the net on the handshake because of how poor his tennis was. And little did I know, a few rounds later, that it was almost like a sense of foreboding. And he just was not at the races. I mean, some of the statistics were bad. And I hate to say this because Grigor Dimitrov, I feel like he's in the twilight of his career. He's still a very game competitor, but I mean, he hit one winner. In the match, and a staggering 23 of the 63 points ended in an unforced error from the Bulgarians. So not one to shout about.
What is going 44 minutes? I mean, you can't really believe that. Imagine if you thought, right, I'm settling in for a fantastic match. I mean, that feels like you saw. I mean, we've seen sets last longer.
Quarterfinals as well. Like maybe you would expect that in like round one if it's a bit of a mismatch.
Well, the wild card from Monaco potentially that should have been 6-love, and he apologized for that. But I mean, for Dimitrov, will he read too much into this, or will he just keep going?
I think
it doesn't feel good. I'm sure
he probably doesn't feel good right now. But I mean, to get to the quarterfinals of the Monte Carlo Masters, I still think that's a pretty decent effort and a better effort than some of the the big players, because it did sort of feel like a tournament of just kind of being there and not necessarily playing your best, just beating the opponent on the other side of the court.
Survive.
Exactly. Survival. And if you look at some of the top seeds, that was not as easy as it came for some other players.
Yes, namely Novak Djokovic, who was out in his first match against Alejandro Tabilo, 6-3, 6-4, Tabilo winning that one. And Djokovic not at the races. He described his performance as horrible. He was very sorry that all the people had to witness it. And just horrible being used to describe his performance. So, I mean, he'd only just come off the back of the Miami final, quite a quick turnaround. But, this is a tournament he loves to play at. He's, lives in Monte Carlo. I'm sure he wanted to kind of be there and get some good wins on the clay, but it just really wasn't happening. Do you think he came back too soon? He should have had a bit more of a rest between the hard court, out in the States.
Oh, I mean, it's hard to know. I mean, we were talking about this, the fact that he hasn't always had the best form in Monte Carlo. It's not necessarily been his most happy hunting ground. He's had some pretty big losses here, and a lot of losses, he said, previously have been his worst losses. I mean, that loss to Dan Evans, I remember that one. That particularly stood out because I don't think anyone thinks that Dan Evans is a clay courter necessarily. At least this loss was to a very seasoned clay courter. Very surprising that he said things like, he knew he probably wasn't going to play bad, but this bad I didn't expect. And I mean, you don't expect Djokovic to think he's going to play badly. That seems very strange. Makes me think that maybe if you think you're going to play badly, you do play badly. And for someone who is obviously, I mean, he's the GOAT from the statistics perspective, you don't think that he would not back himself to win matches or play better than he did. So I think that's where it's surprising, is that we still have no idea where his form level really is going into these tournaments, whether it's going to be a round one loss or whether he's going to make a final. It really is hit or miss, and I'm not sure we're going to get much more clarity in the coming weeks.
No, and like you said, it is actually his worst Masters event by kind of stats. He's only won it twice, which obviously a lot of
good for some people
would love that. Yeah,
I mean, Tabilo now has a 2-0 head-to-head record against Djokovic. I know a few weeks ago we were talking about surprising head-to-head matchups. I mean, Tabilo's added himself to the list because, as much as kind of Djokovic was faltering on the tennis court, Tabilo was playing some very good tennis and not letting that situation mess with his head. He was just on the court, playing his tennis, going about his job. And I mean, it did get a little bit tight towards the end of that second set, but impressive from him to pull out the victory.
Absolutely. Another top player, and indeed the top seed here, Sasha Zverev, out in his first match as well. So Berrettini, this was in 3 sets, 7-5 in the third. So a slightly more respectable, scoreline, and see from a more well-known player. But yeah, not great for Zverev either. Obviously he's no longer the world number 2. But yeah, it's just going kind of from bad to worse for him as well at the moment, and just not living up to what I think he predicted last year. He said him and Alcaraz, Sinner, Djokovic are all up there. They're going to be all, dominating this year. That's not happening as it stands, is it?
It's not good. It's not good, is it? It's not been good for a period of time. I guess some sort of respite for him is the fact that, he's gone from like back to back to back 1,000 events. And I think, this week he's dropping down to a 500 in Stuttgart. So potentially, it's the field is a little bit lower quality. Maybe there's an opportunity to get some more confidence, playing a lower level tournament. But he is in a real rut at the moment. And I sort of wonder if getting Yannick Sinner back and having the news and the media attention all focused on that actually might help him in terms of kind of dealing with this moment, because when the spotlight has been on him, he has melted.
Yeah, absolutely. And another player, Tsitsipas, he did get to the quarterfinals but lost to Lorenzo Musetti. Some news coming out of his coaching camp, possibly a partnership emerging with him and Goran Ivanisevic. I think the Greek newspaper has announced that he's considering hiring him, I think, after the clay court season. He hasn't been able to, he said he's not in a position to answer that yet when he was asked about it in Monte-Carlo. But should this be true, do you think that's a good move to go for Goran, Chris?
I think it could be good. Obviously, he's worked with Djokovic previously.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure he was with Rebecca long enough to make an impact after what went down there between her and her coach. I think if you are looking at how his seasons tend to be, all his best results do normally happen at the Australian Open and the French Open. So I think it is interesting to bring in someone new to try and do that bit better, because I mean, last year it was second round and first round exits at Wimbledon, the US Open. He actually hasn't made a quarterfinal at either of those events. So trying to bring someone on, some fresh ideas, I think it is a good decision. And I think, why not bring on Goran? I think he's had a lot of experience on the grass. He definitely will have some very valuable things to say. And I'm just pleased that Tsitsipas is getting some outside influence again. I think it's been a while since Philippoussis was in his camp, and I think it's important that he keeps on adding to his game.
Absolutely. I mean, Tsitsipas due to leave the top 15 for the first time since 2018. So that's just a sign of how his form has just dropped. His game's not there. So I think reaching out to, a top coach like Ivanisevic, top name, might be a wise move, might hopefully bring some positive change in his game. But Monte Carlo, that's a wrap for this year. Alcaraz comes away with the title. Let's have a look now to what went down on the WTA Tour, because we didn't really have a WTA Tour this week. It was the Billie Jean King Cup Qualifiers. And let's start with Team GB, I think, because great effort from the British girls, because they're through. They qualified through out in the Netherlands with wins over Germany and the Netherlands. So Balta and Sonny Cartal and Jodie Burrage getting the necessary wins done, as well as Nichols and Dart taking part as well, to bring Team GB into the finals later in the year. Fabulous performances from some of the girls there. Obviously, Emma Raducanu wasn't in attendance, but in the end, it didn't matter. Joel?
Yeah, I mean, this was a great result in the sense that it shows, I think, the strength and depth of GB women's tennis right now. A lot of chat was around Emma Raducanu in the build-up, how that was going to impact the team. But, we had ready-made replacements. Sonny Cartal coming in on debut, away from home, a lot of pressure on the line, looking at you to, get GB off to a good start and, ultimately help the team get through to the finals. I mean, she just played so well across the two ties, backed up by Katie Balter as well, who I just feel like raises her level when it comes to when it comes to playing for GB, and particularly not shying away from the big moments, even when there's a kind of a defeat, to come in for that final doubles just shows, as I say, kind of that mental strength that she has, that she can just reset, put that to one side and kind of go again. So yeah, really great result with some really great performances, and I think it's a testament to the quality that GB have at the moment. We might not necessarily have someone in the top 10 or top 20, but I think at this level in the Billie Jean Cup, in the qualifiers, you don't necessarily need that, because a lot of the top players aren't really even playing these tournaments. They're looking at this week as a week off.
Yeah, strength and depth. I mean, Sonny Cartal as well, getting 2 singles wins and stepping up as the new number 2 now that Raducanu wasn't there. She's 59 in the world. She's got a WTA title under her belt. She was, fantastic to see her, and we've got her to draw on, as well as Raducanu, as well as Bolter. So
she's such a tricky customer, I think, on the clay court particularly. I mean, I think she had that breakout tournament at Wimbledon last season, but certainly the way her style on the court, the spins that she utilizes, the fact that she can keep the ball so deep as well, I think really helps her prosper on a clay court where she's not necessarily having to face big power hitters who maybe can hit her off the tennis court. Actually, she's kind of flummoxing her opponents with the variations she can bring.
Yeah, I think we just need to appreciate how far, Team GB have come in the Billie Jean King Cup. I think it's fantastic, and a great decision by Anne Kjothvong as well on that final tie to swap in Bolter and Burrage into the doubles. They definitely seem to be the right pairing for that one. They got the vital win over the Netherlands as well. So GB are into the final. We also have Spain through, USA, Kazakhstan, Ukraine and Japan through from all of the other group rounds that took place just this last weekend, and Italy and China already in those finals as well. Special mention, I think, to Ukraine. They thrashed Poland and they beat Switzerland as well to make it through their group. So, I mean, out of all of those names, anyone springing to mind as potential champion later in the year when the finals unleash? Chris, who have you got your early money on? Obviously, hard to know who exactly is going to end up playing, because like Joel said, a lot of the top names weren't in attendance last week.
I mean, Italy do have a lot of pedigree here, so I think you have to look for them to bring out their best team. I mean, the USA barely brought anybody, and that's meant with no disrespect, but I think they were down to would have been outside the top 6 of their singles players. So I think I would like for them to field a really good team, because I think we've seen a few years in a row, maybe they haven't taken it as serious as they should, and being the favourite, they haven't brought the team that we haven't seen them play the A team for quite a number of years now, I think. So I would like to see them at full strength. But again, as you say, anyone can win, anyone can lose the Billie Jean King Cup.
Is that a problem for the Billie Jean King Cup as a brand? The fact that, this week should be really exciting. It's an opportunity for players to come together to play for their nation. And ultimately, Raducanu, Jessica Pegula, the top players, they're not Iga Swiatek. They're just not that interested, are they?
Well, no one really was playing this week. I think that's probably a big problem, because the interest won't necessarily be there. It seems like the
crowds were dead, weren't they?
It was not great. So you think maybe see who could get into the final, and then the players will decide if their schedule allows them to play it. But I mean, for example, Iga Swiatek not playing means that Poland won't be there. There is a lot of pressure on individual players to lead their country to victory. So as you say, if you've got a very good strength and depth in your team, you can come through these. But ultimately, what's more important for these players, we're seeing more and more players on the ATP and WTA side of things not play in the qualifiers for the finals. So it's a trend that's a bit worrying, and hopefully it won't continue.
They just want all the glory, but none of the, the gritty, gutsy early round matches.
They just want to turn up for the final.
Yeah, it's not an Olympic year, is it?
No. Well, just a quick note on Emma Raducanu as well. Obviously, she wasn't playing at the Billie Jean King Cup finals. Hopefully, she'll be playing at the finals. But do we need her? I don't know. But she in the coaching
Kim,
I think we do, Kim. She won all of her singles last year.
I know. I'm just saying, Bolter and Cartal did well. So,
yes.
obviously I'd rather, have that extra pair of
More depth,
to
more
push
depth.
us through. Even more depth.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. But she is in discussions apparently with Mark Petchey, perhaps in terms of appointing him as her sort of permanent new coach. She was working with him at the Miami Open where she got to the quarterfinals. So possible conversations going on around there. Any thoughts on that? Do you think Mark Petchey would be a suitable fit? Obviously,
Definitely,
he did work with
but-
Andy
Why not?
Murray way
Why
back.
not?
But it's confusing, isn't it? Is this news? Because I would have thought this should have been happening after that result and how positive that was. So I think the fact that, there are discussions, I'm like, well, blooming sign him. It seemed like it went well. It seems like you enjoy each other's company and that it is a good partnership. And it seemed to happen really organically. So I feel like it's the perfect way to continue something, especially going into Grand Slam season, and maybe look at it from that perspective of a shorter period, but commit to someone. I think that's what I don't really like, these relentless trials that she goes on. I think give someone a block, see how it goes. And I think pulling the plug too soon is something that you could say is admirable because you see that it's not right for you, but at the same time, you might not see that it is right for you. And she's found something that works. And I think probably you've got to do whatever you can to secure that. But I mean, Joel, will he leave his tennis channel gig?
That's the
What
that
pays
feels,
better,
That feels like the crux of it here. It feels like it's on maybe Mark Petchey to kind of be like, well, I'm contracted to Tennis Channel. I've got this kind of broadcast role. Do I weigh that up against coaching potentially Emma Raducanu and getting back into that game? I don't. I feel like that's too good of an opportunity to turn down. And
it's a tasty offering, right?
it's a very tasty
Such
offer.
a talented player.
And interestingly, Tennis Channel don't have the rights to cover Wimbledon. So does that mean he's free potentially for the grass court swing?
I mean, he normally does work for the BBC, doesn't he, during that period? I think so.
I'm sure he's not short of any broadcast commentary roles, but certainly I think the opportunity may be to get back into the coaching box. I mean, just seeing him in Miami, he looked like he was very motivated. He looked like he had a game plan. He looked like he was maybe he was a little bit kind of tempted to come back into it. So
it wouldn't be fair though, would it, Joel, if he just had a great week and then was like, you know what, just showed you I can do it. But yeah,
he needs to become Raducanu's coach, help all those insights, and then go back to commentary and be like, hey, I can bring more insight here because I was Raducanu's coach.
Yeah, and all the players that he'll be watching play, all the tips that he can give her.
Exactly.
Yes.
Become an broadcast insider.
We love them.
As a coach. Yeah.
Nice one. Well, let's see what happens and let's take a quick break now. But do join us in the second half where we'll be discussing a Dinara Safina themed mailbag, our predictions for the clay season's biggest winners and losers, and we'll be looking ahead to a trio of 500 events in Stuttgart, Munich, and Barcelona. So do not go anywhere. Welcome back to the Tennis Weekly podcast brought to you by Sports Travel and Hospitality Group. And it's time, as always, to kick off the second half with another game. Joel, over to you. I think you've got a par for the courts for us and the listeners. So take it away.
I do indeed. And based on the previous par for the courts I've given you both, I have simplified this. I think this is a very
thank goodness.
Very broad category. So I'm expecting quick fire answers, and I've totted up the maths. And there are 19 players with this topic. And the topic is WTA players who have won a Masters WTA 1000 event since 2020. So 2020 season onwards, I'm looking for any player
Singles?
who's won a WTA 1000, very good, singles title.
Right.
Okay. Right. We can do this, Chris. I have confidence that you're
19
still
is a lot,
me,
though,
but
Kim.
yes.
19
Quick
is a
fire.
lot. So
Quick
I'm
fire
hoping
then.
for quick fire answers,
Okay.
yes.
Right.
Who would like to go first?
I'll go.
Yeah, go on, Kim.
Okay. Right. Okay. Quick fire. Let's go. Mira Andreeva. I'll go with a recent one.
Oh.
That is correct. Yes, very good.
Jessica Pegula.
Very good. Yes, that is one apiece.
Camilla Georgie.
Camilla Georgie is on the list. Very good, Kim. 2-1 to Kim.
Oh, I feel like this is now no longer go for the obvious. It's go for the most impressive. I'm going to go for, well, not niche, but I'm going to steal a favourite from you. Caroline Garcia.
Caroline Garcia is on the list. Very good. 2 apiece.
Iga Swiatek.
Iga Swiatek, correct. 3-2 Kim.
Paula Badosa.
Paula Badosa also on the list. 3 apiece.
Arina Sabalenka.
Arina Sabalenka, yeah. I like what you're thinking, Kim. 4-3 to you.
Coco Gauff.
For all correct answer, Chris.
It's going to be a high scoring
Quite
round.
Quite rapid
now.
Quite a rapid answer.
2020,
So
you said, right?
Since 2020, you've
Well,
given
not
me 8
many
correct
happened in
answers.
2020, did it? Because of the pandemic.
Mm.
And I'm thinking about that period that was a bit weird. Azarenka.
Oh,
Azarenka
she did, yeah.
is a correct answer. Cincinnati, one of the very few actually that happened in 2020, is on the list.
Well, has anyone said Ash Barty?
Oh yeah.
Ash Barty
She must have won 7 or something.
is on the list. Yes, that is a correct answer. So I think that's 5 apiece.
Oh gosh, has this player won one? Kvitova since 2020.
Kvitova is a correct answer.
Oh,
Very good,
thank
Kim.
heaven.
Yes,
you
Kvitova.
hate
on
an easy
the
one.
list.
Danielle Collins, she won Miami last year.
Danielle Collins is on the list. 6 apiece. Oh, that's 12 in
I think
total.
I've got a few more, Kim. I'm actually
I
very
think
confident.
Anisimova.
Oh,
Very good. Yes, Amanda Anisimova. Yes, 7-6 Kim.
Paulini.
Yes, Dubai champion 2024 is on the list. Is that 9 apiece? I think.
We're still going.
I've
That's all that
lost
matters.
I might lose it here.
8
Pliskova?
apiece. I forget now. What was that, Kim?
Pliskova.
Pliskova. It's an incorrect answer,
Oh
Kim.
no!
She
The
made a Rome
pressure-
final, maybe.
The pressure has told.
She has won one, hasn't she? But just
Yes.
not more. Not in the 2020s. Oh,
Did we
dear.
say? I was thinking Rybakina.
Yeah, you could have had
Krejcikova, I was
Rybakina.
also thinking.
Yeah, Krejcikova
Yeah.
is on the
Onjabeur won
list.
Madrid.
Onjabeur, yes.
And then am I out?
What about Osaka?
Won
No.
a title in 2019.
Ah.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was a tricky one. I think there is one name maybe you haven't got yet.
Oh, did Muguruza win Dubai as well? Dubai has so many rogue winners.
Muguruza, let me just double check. Muguruza, yes, on the list. Yep, one in Dubai. Yeah. There is more than 18. I was just my maths was poor. There is actually more than 18, but Muguruza is on the list.
Yeah, I want to say Mukova maybe.
Mukova
No.
is not on the list, Kim. No.
I've got one more.
One more.
Oh, Andreescu. No, that was before, wasn't it?
Did Sakari win Guadalajara Slam?
Maria Sakkari is on the list. Yes, that wasn't the player I was going to say, but I'm going to give you the full list.
You said
now.
there's one left. And
I
we've
know. I
named
just
like
keep
3
saying there's
more.
one left. It's anarchy. It's anarchy. Right. So the full list. I think anyway.
How long will this be? Please fast forward 2 times speed.
Sabalenka, Swiatek, Azarenka, Andreeva, Anisimova, Collins, Paulini, Krejcikova, Kvitova, Rybakina, Coco Gauff, Maria Sakkari, Jessica Pegula, Caroline Garcia, Onjabeur, Camilla Georgie, Ash Barty, Paula Badosa, Garbina Muguruza, and the one player I don't think anyone has said, Simona Halep.
Oh,
What did she
Simona
win?
Halep won Rome in 2020 and also won the Rogers Cup in Canada in 2022.
I honestly have no memory of either of those events, but well done her.
They happened.
Yes, I believe you, Joel.
well, thank you, Joel, for that. Listeners,
Thank
let us know
you.
how you got on.
I
Which
think
I
ones
we
breathe
did
a
you
sigh of
come-
relief
You
now.
said
Stuttgart.
18. I feel like we did get 18 combined, Kim.
I think
so
you did. Yeah.
We
I
did
need
our
to
best.
I need to work on my maths for the next round, next edition.
Well, we're not a maths podcast, so
No.
it's all right. I'm going to dip into the mailbag now because Saif Shaheen has contacted us via email. So thank you very much, Saif, for getting in touch. His question is, or their question, I should say, is about Safin and Safina. So the announcement just weeks ago that Andrei Rublev has brought Marat Safin into his team. Diana Schnaider has hired Marat's sister, Dinara Safina, as her coach. How do you assess the brother-sister duo as coaches to their respective wards? And also, how do you view their playing careers today? Marat won 2 majors, but never reached number 1, while Dinara reached number 1, but never won a major. So, yes, very timely question, Saif. Thank you so much for getting in touch. And yeah, the news that Schneider is joining forces with Safina has been announced. So we will look to see how that impacts her game. But what are your thoughts on this recent announcement and their foray into coaching their respective players? Chris, I'm going to come to you first.
Well, we did touch upon the temperament side of things previously, and I think both were on the hotter headed side of things. So I'm not sure absolutely that will be where the value will be added, but they did achieve great success, and they did achieve success from the same nations. I think that also has a familiar sort of feeling to it. They would have been very aware of them growing up. So I think they are role models in many ways. And at the time, I mean, Safina did reach number 1. I think she's a very hard worker, and I think very different styles, where I think if Safin had worked a bit more or been more disciplined, I should say, not saying he didn't work hard, he probably would have got number 1 and more slams. Whereas Safin, I don't think you could fault her for her work ethic. I think everyone thought she did work very hard, but she did have some injuries that derailed her. And I mean, the Williams sisters also derailed her and dismantled her at times in some of those big finals. So I think in terms of the partnership, I'm not sure necessarily what angle we're looking at it from, but I'm very pleased it's a female coach. I think more top players, I really do love seeing them on the tour. I think there's so much that they can offer. And I think that it's a long time since we've seen, people, women hiring women on the tour. So that is very refreshing. I think that is very undervalued. And I think it also, when you're a younger player, I think having someone who is female also alleviates a lot of the concerns of some of those potentially abusive relationships that could take place. So I feel very positive about that. But at the same time, I can't tell you exactly what they're going to bring to the table. But in terms of their careers, I think they are similar in one way, but then at the same time, I think I'd rather take the 2 majors than the Slammers number 1 title.
Yeah, I agree on that latter point for sure. Rather have the majors. Joel, what about yourself?
Yeah, I think Schneider's got a terrific kind of work ethic, and I can see those two gelling, really well with each other. And I think similar with kind of Rublev and Safin, I think they again have those similarities of temperament and finding the best out of their game from a situation of I'm a little bit unhinged, a little bit crazy, but actually it really works and comes together on the tennis court. And I think for Safin, he's done that extra mileage. I think that maybe he's not been there just yet for Rublev, particularly at Grand Slams as a two-time winning of a major in terms of Safin. I guess the only question is with Safin, like, I guess it's like, how serious is he going to take it? Because there are pictures of him in Monte Carlo, just like, with shades on, looking very cool in Rublev's box.
Rock star energy.
Yeah, like rock star energy, almost like he's the main attraction. So I just wonder, like, how
will he share the limelight?
Just making sure that that setup is working like very hard, and Rublev, I guess, knows what he wants from Safin, so that he can get that out of him. Because I sometimes wonder if, like, is he there just to look cool on the side of the tennis court?
Maybe that's the plan. Distract everyone from what Rublev's doing on the court. We'll all be looking at Safin in the box, and then Rublev can get along without anyone pressuring him. Who knows? But yeah, I think that they're both quite interesting collaborations. I think Safina, will be quite good for Schneider. I'm looking forward a lot to seeing how that unfurls. And I hope it goes well. Because I think, I was always quite a big fan of Safina when she was on the tour. So it's nice that she's, kind of getting involved in this way. So I look forward to it. But thanks, Si, for your question. Keep them coming, guys. We love to hear from you and answer your questions. So do contact us on social media, via email, etc. Details will be given at the end. We can, answer them for you. And we've got some predictions to make now, I think, which may be quite embarrassing in a few weeks to come, but we'll see. We're here. It's the clay season. So we're going to have a big epic clay season, hopefully. And we want to make some predictions. So got a number of different ones and categories to go for. Who is winning Roland-Garros for the men and the women? Who's going to have the most difficult clay season, perhaps of their career so far? Who's going to be a bit of a wild card and kind of surprise us? And then who is worth a notable mention? So they're going to have a good solid run and maybe have a bit of a surprise in there as well. Are you ready for some predictions, both of you?
No.
Ready to share?
Never. But I just thought this would be a fun thing to look back on. And also, the more predictions we make, the more bases we cover. So if we start now, we might get the winner come French Open time.
Absolutely. Right. Let's start then with our initial Roland-Garros prediction. So for the men and women, who are your winners? Joel?
I've got to go with I'm saying going with the form book. There is no form book for Yannick Sinner at the moment, but I've got him as my French Open champion. I don't think he's going to be quaking in his boots looking at the tennis that's being played by the top guys from his time off. So I'm getting Yannick Sinner and Aryna Sabalenka. I just think she's in a world of her own, class apart at the moment.
Mm-hmm. And Chris, do you agree?
I do agree. I think Yannick Sinner's got a point to prove. I think he's going to come back and probably win it all because no one has convinced me in his absence that they're going to win it instead. So I think Sinner will get it done. And I think I'm going to go with Andreeva. I think she's going to have a breakthrough win. I think a few people thought it might happen last year. I think it's definitely, it's getting closer and closer, isn't it? By the day for her winning a major.
Yeah, no, I can see that. I went slightly differently. I
went for last year's. No,
it's not. Sadly, not. I went for last year's champion.
Samsonova. Yeah, you love a Samsonova.
I went for the
Caroline Garcia,
Alcaraz, and Swiatek.
That's very unlike you, Kim.
Yeah, I was a bit boring. I went
not Osaka on clay. You went for that for Paris last year.
No, so yeah, I just didn't want to put Yannick Sinner down. I wanted to do something slightly different to you guys. In fairness, as well.
So do you believe in Alcaraz?
Well, he's won it before, so yeah.
That's a very good point, Kim. Yes.
And I think, he's won Monte Carlo, not in, the most stunning of fashion, but I think he's going to work his way in and play better as it goes on. So we'll see. Let's see now who's having a difficult clay season. Chris, who do you think? This can be men or women. You don't have to have one for each.
I've gone for the female side of things. I can't see Madison Keys putting it together on clay. She's had some decent runs at the French Open. She's great at the majors, but I just don't think... I think she's going to be under the radar until we get to the grass.
So you don't think her winning the AO title is going to make any difference come the clay? Well, come Roland-Garros particularly.
I think she will believe she can win slams. I'm not sure she believes she's going to win the French.
Yeah, fair enough. Joel, who have you got most difficult clay season?
Oh, well, Kim, I'm surprised you had Iga Swiatek as your French Open Women's Champion because I think Iga Swiatek is going to have a very difficult clay season. She's got lots of points to defend. She's not in great form at the moment. She's had an okay season so far, but the way she's been getting flustered on the tennis court, showing those kind of frustrations spilling over, also suggests to me that maybe it's not so happy in the Iga Swiatek camp at the moment. So yeah, that's why I'm sad to say it, but I think Iga Swiatek's going to have a tricky time.
Well, this is the sort of tension we're looking for between you two. One has Swiatek winning, and one has her falling from the Queen of Clay title. So that is something that listeners can look out for as the clay season unfolds.
Well, I've gone for Daniil Medvedev, which is perhaps a bit of a cop-out because...
he hates the clay, Kim.
Every bounce is a bad bounce.
Anyway, he doesn't like the clay. He's not been in great form. So maybe a bit of a cop-out there. I do apologise. I would agree with Keys, though. I don't expect from her, really.
Thank you, Kim.
Okay, who is getting a wild card? So who's going to have a, really maybe stunning, surprising clay season for good reasons? Joel.
I'm in two minds because I put down Alejandro Tabilo based on his performance against Djokovic. He's a clay quarter that just no one wants to face. But actually, I'm gonna kind of live update the
Are you
table.
changing it?
I'm changing it
Are
to.
you allowed to do that?
I'm doing it right now. I'm changing it to Cerundolo.
Interesting.
Which
Francisco's... oh, Kim, come on. No, I'm going Francisco Cerundolo. I hope I don't live to regret that. But
goodness, we've never had that before. A live change.
Took a set off of Carlos Alcaraz in Monte Carlo. I think he's again someone you just do not want to face, and I can see him being a very tricky customer on a clay court over the next 6 weeks or so.
Nice. Okay. Well, I've gone for Emma Raducanu, actually.
Love that.
I'm going for her. I
She
think
impressed you with the Billie Jean King Cup.
She decided, yeah, she impressed me so much. Yeah. She decided not to play it, and I'm hoping that it will be for good reasons. Maybe she'll have a few phone calls with Mark Petchey as well, and she'll,
Is this she's going to need the wild cards to get into the tournaments?
Another wild card for her. Kim's giving it to her.
And what about yourself, Chris? Who have you got?
I've gone for Grand Slams past, Grand Slam champions past. Again, I want to say Kenin, I think. She's got some form coming back. She's a very crafty player on the clay, former French Open finalist. And I just think maybe she's going to spring a few surprises in Paris.
That's a good shout. Okay. Yeah. No, well, she got to the Charleston final, so already looking somewhat
also
good
a cop-out, I guess, yeah.
No, I didn't mean it like that. Last category, notable mention. So this is a player who was going to have a solid clay court season, maybe get a really, big result in there, but not necessarily go all the way. Joel?
I've gone Jack Draper based on, winning Indian Wells. Bit of an unknown still on the clay, but the fact in Monte Carlo he lost to Fokina, who I think ended up as a semi-finalist, just shows that he can have pedigree and apply himself to the red dirt. So I'm expecting a few decent performances from Draper. I don't think it's, get him to the grass as quick as possible.
Absolutely. Well, no, that's a good shout. I hope it comes true. And Chris, what about yourself?
Well, I've gone for Fils. I think he played particularly well against Alcaraz. That was a real sort of epic. And I think he showed that he can compete with those top 5 players in a way that we haven't seen him necessarily do that before and consistently compete until the end. So a big breakthrough performance at the French Open, I think, is coming for a French player.
Well, I've gone for Amanda Anisimova, who obviously has won a Masters 1000 already this year and has got to the semi-finals at the French before. So I think she's going to have a solid clay season, but perhaps not go all the way just yet. So we'll see. Listeners, let us know. Do you agree with any of them? Who would you have in those categories? Do let us know on socials. We'll love to hear your thoughts. And now we are previewing some events that are taking place this week. We've got quite a lot of them, 3 500 events and a 250 as well. We've got the return of Bianca Andreescu to the tour, which is very exciting. So we've got a 500 out in Stuttgart. Sabalenka is the top seed there with Swiatek as the second seed. So this is quite a stacked draw, I think.
This might as well be a 1000 event, like a 32 draw 1000 event.
Yeah, tons of top names there. Andreeva, Pegula, Paulini, Navarro, Goff, Schneider. How will Safina get on there? Any thoughts? Who's winning this one?
I mean, I'm not looking at who's winning it, but I think I've never seen this, that all German wildcards are placed in the same section, the same quarter, or less than a quarter of the draw, the same 16th of a draw, because they're all in Coco Gauff and Jasmine Paolini's section.
Yeah, and it's a lucky loser as well, just looking at it.
Yeah, and when you think about how stacked this is, it feels like it's stacked everywhere except this section. So something tells me that Coco Gauff might be making a deep run here.
Nice. Yeah, I think that's a good shout, actually. We've got Tatiana Maria, Yul Niemeyer, Laura Siegmund, and Ava Lees all in the same section for German wildcards. Joel, any thoughts? Who's winning this one for you?
I still think it's going to be Sabalenka, to be honest. But
Sabalenka for everything.
I just think Sabalenka for everything. But I will be interested to see how Swiatek does, does play here, because Alcaraz kind of did a successful reset, I think, from Indian Wells and Miami, and Swiatek is gonna need to do the same, and it would be a very big statement, I think, for Swiatek to win Stuttgart with Sabalenka in the field, because to me, she's playing the best tennis on the tour at the moment.
Fantastic. I think that's a good shout. And Ruin, we've got a 250. This is where Andreescu has a wild card and is coming back to the tour. Otherwise, we've got Svitolina and Noskova as the top 2 seeds. And I can also see that Sonny Cartel is in the draw as the 8th seed, which is fantastic. Harriet Dar also there for Great Britain.
Hang on, Elise Cornet, I thought she had retired.
I thought she was on the Traitors.
Yes, I mean, she's back. She is back, but I'm trying to figure out, she must be playing with provisional ranking, but I thought she retired and just stopped. So it doesn't say wildcard next to her name. So I'm not sure what's gone on here. But she's very much back. She's playing against a French qualifier. And then probably she's going to play another French player in the next round and then another French player in the round after that. But let's see what happens. I think what many people will be watching it, but not many people will be thinking this is going to be the highlight of her career.
Well, yeah, let's see how she returns to
Maria Sakkari not seeded at 250. That is,
I didn't even see her.
The sign of the times, isn't it? I mean, Greek tennis. I mean, Tsitsipas, it feels like it's going down a slower but similar trajectory at the moment.
The Hopman Cup dream is over.
Agreed.
Definitely not Baccarat, unfortunately. Barcelona for the men, ATP 500. Carlos Alcaraz is the top seed and Casper Ruud is the second seed. Obviously, this is one of the legendary, Rafa Nadal.
Who is going to jump into the pool at the end, Kim?
Who is going in the swimming pool? Yeah, who's going to win on Pista Rafa Nadal as well? Any thoughts on this one, guys?
Obviously, Casper's going to defend it.
I would love to see Arthur Fils and Carlos Alcaraz meet in the semis. They're in the same half. As I said, I thought they had the best tennis match in Monte Carlo. That was fantastic. So I'd like to see more of that. So I'm looking at those. Yeah, looking at those two. Rublev and Safin as well in the bottom half. Feels like that bottom half is a little bit more open.
Are they playing each other? No.
Yes, Safin's come in as a qualifier and is facing Rublev in the first round.
Anyone's coming back now.
I'd quite like Davidovich Fokina to finally win a title, personally. It'd be nice if that happened, but we'll see.
Not Munar?
Oh, Jaume Munar. Well, yes, of course. And last but not least, we've got the ATP 500 in Munich. Zverev is the top seed with Ben Shelton as the second seed. I mean, Zverev will be hoping for some, a bit of rediscovery of his form here, won't he, at home on the clay?
Needed, definitely needed. I'm not sure I necessarily fancied this last year. It looks very cold in Munich. It always does. This is the one where you bring your thermals and you just have to hope that the weather improves, because you could definitely have a very chilly time on court.
I did go to this one many years ago, about 15 years ago, and it was when it was in May, and my feet were like ice. And it was sort of mid-May.
You almost don't want to. It's the lederhosen the winner gets at the end. Is that?
They do, yeah. But I mean, even that is not particularly thick, is it? It's shorts.
Yeah. I'm looking at Cerundolo or maybe Navoni. I think could be quite interesting.
Shapovalov, I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Billie Harris, lucky loser, has got in, which is We'll see. Lots. I think that's quite an open draw, that one. Given that Zverev's not at the races at the moment. But that brings us to a close, and we'll be back next week to round up on all of this. And we do have our Easter break as well coming up, don't we? But still tennis to play. That doesn't stop for Easter, does it?
No, exactly. Tennis does not stop for Easter. Tennis doesn't stop for anything. And we are getting a week closer to the French Open. So lots of exciting matches to come our way. But that wraps it up for our latest catch up here at Tennis Weekly HQ. Hope you've enjoyed the ride with us. Remember to subscribe to us so you don't miss a moment of ATP and WTA action. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and all your favorite podcasting platforms out there.
And if you love what you're hearing, then be sure to leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and hit that like and subscribe button on YouTube as well.
And you can also get in touch with us and send us a mailbag, and that's at tennisweeklypod@gmail.com. And you're also able to grab the final piece of Tennis Weekly merch, which is almost completely gone. There is one item left. Please buy it, because then we will be doing a restock that will tempt us to do it. So make sure that you do that. And also stay connected to us on all of our social channels. We're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and X, and also Threads. So if you haven't followed us on that yet, please do. And the handle is Tennis Weekly Pod for all of those.
And we'll be back next week for another tour catch up brought to you by Sports Travel and Hospitality Group. But until then, it's goodbye from Kim.
Goodbye.
It's goodbye from Chris.
Goodbye.
And it's goodbye from me. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time on Tennis Weekly.